to hear from Taylor Hicks, which was the season 5 of American Idol winner, along with our buddy Richard Greenlee, who I didn't know you had a nonprofit, Ratchet Y'all Productions. So together, you guys are putting on a show for our Friends of Children's Mississippi. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to be here. Okay, Richard, first kick me off. You've been hanging on with Ratchet Y'all Productions behind my back, I feel like, your nonprofit. Mm-hmm. So share with us a little bit about that organization.
Actually, that preceded my other, for-profit company, but that's something I came with. I wanted to do something at least twice a year that's for a good cause. So I started Ratchet Y'all Productions, a 501c3, and we partnered up with Friends of Children's Hospital, which you know is the funding arm for the Blair Batson or the Batson Children's Hospital,
which is now Children's of Mississippi.
Children's of Mississippi. I can't keep up.
Don't worry, everybody's getting it. Yeah.
And so I want to bring good quality acts together, and great talent in town to put on a concert twice a year. This is the first one we've done for the benefit of the hospital. I've known Taylor for a while, and I said, Taylor, we've got to get you in town. And I have some other musicians that are local musicians that are true musicians, kind of put a super group together of some great musicians, of course, led by Taylor here.
It's going to be a good time. Okay, Taylor, when Richard calls you and says, you're an Alabama boy, right?
Yeah.
So we'll bring you on over to Mississippi. We'll consider you a cousin of the state for sure. When he said, come on over, I want you to help us raise some money for Children's of Mississippi, did he have to twist your arm much to do it?
Not at all. I've done shows all around the country that have benefited children's hospitals in different places, and the band is going to be amazing. Duling Hall is such a great venue. It's that kind of got that old school feel, and I didn't have anything going on. We put a date together, and we're close to getting it off the ground.
I love this that you just put a band together, which is Taylor Hicks and the Delta Funk Revival. Great name, by the way.
Thank you. I can't
So, is this back like in high school where you just get a couple of friends together and start a band? Because in my mind, I'm feeling like, man, that takes years of relationships, and you create this bond, and then you have a band. But nope, you can just sort of piece it together that way with like-minded people.
We do. Patrick Smith's a wonderful musician that I've known over the years to play all kinds of different places, and we've kind of played all the same. Jason Harrelson's a great bass player from a band called Hannerwood Pass, and we want to get this. I've not really done kind of the offshoot side band thing, and I think that this particular lineup of musicians is just perfect for that. I mean, we all know of each other. We all know the musicality that we all have, and it should be fun to play and support a good cause.
And Patrick Smith is a hometown boy from Vicksburg, Mississippi, so he is more of like Delta blues, sort of barrel house rock and roll piano riffs. So how do you guys all combine? So if we come out August 20th and we get our ticket, like what kind of music is the feel going to be that night?
I would think, somewhere along the lines of between the Funky Meters and Cajun versus Delta Blues versus Delta Funk, Soul. I would think if Joe Cocker were to spend, 4 or 5 years down here in the South playing music, that kind of would be the sound.
Yeah. Sounds like a good time.
I mean, I made up it's a funk, rock, blues. It's going to be great because it's really, to me, it's kind of jam bandish. Because I've seen Jason and Patrick and the drummer and the bassist play together before without Taylor. When I saw them at a crawfish bowl, I said, "Oh my God, I've got to get Taylor in front of this band." This combination between harmonica and Jason's guitar riffs and Patrick on the keyboards, I mean, it's going to be like outdoing each other. It's like it's going to be awesome. It's really going to be fun.
You mentioned the fact that it is at the iconic Duling Hall here in central Mississippi. Have you ever played in a venue like that, or does the venue sort of matter with the rest of the feel for you, Taylor, when you're up there performing?
Well, that's kind of Richard's call on where he wants to put it, but I think that this is the perfect music for that particular place. I was there this morning, and it's like it has all the seasoning that you could ask for in a music venue. And I just thought, this is gonna work. It's got great lights, great sound, and I'm excited to play in there. And I enjoy coming over here and performing in Mississippi.
This isn't your first time to perform in Mississippi. I noticed on your social media accounts, yes, I stalked those earlier, that you were coming back to Jackson. So when's the last time you were with us here in Mississippi?
So I did the Jackson Blues Festival, I believe, about 7 or 8 years ago, and loved it. Had a great time. It was one of those things. I've got some really good friends that live over here from here. So I do visit a good bit, when I can.
Well, there in the Duling Hall area, which is the Fondren area, you mentioned seasoned. I'm like, man, you can get some good grub and then go and hear a good concert. You said, Richard, it starts August. It is August the 20th. But when does it start? And talk about tickets, because I saw there's levels of tickets. You can get some VIP access, which there was many that are already jumping on that, Taylor. So you're going to have a crowd full ready to see you. But then there's other types of tickets. So how can we get ours?
It's Duling is a great, quaint venue. So there are two different types of tickets. There's a general admission, which is $30, $35 at the show, a day of show, $30 online. We have a $100 VIP ticket, and what that gets you is it gets you from 6 to 7. There is a happy hour meet and greet with the band. Kessler Prime's doing heavy hors d'oeuvres. That's free. It's a cash bar. So with the VIP, you get the meet and greet with the band. You get a signed and numbered, actually, a original artwork show poster I had created for this show. Holly Peel, local artist, did the artwork, and we've done some stuff to it. You get a T-shirt. I've created a T-shirt for the show, too, for the new band.
Everybody wants a T-shirt.
It is. And
Gotta get the T-shirt.
Gotta get a T-shirt.
A meet and greet, and that's from 6 to 7. Doors open at 7, and the music starts at 8. And with the VIP, you get a roped off access down not the whole front of the stage, but the right side wall where I like to sit anyway. It's in a little private bar area there. So there are about 50 VIPs available, and they're going very fast. And we do have a couple of tables. There are only 4 sponsor tables. It's $500, which is $125 a head. 2 already taken. I think we have 2 more left, but that's
a good place to be, because remember, this is for a good cause. This all goes back to the Foundation of Children's of Mississippi, which is the fundraising arm for the hospital, Children's Mississippi, the only children's hospital here in our state. What connected you to them, Richard? When you had, I know they were a worthy cause, but of all the things, why did you say the Children's Hospital needs these events?
I don't really remember, and I have my cousin Charles Greenlee was friends with Erica Bradshaw, who's the executive director. I don't know her position, but she heads up the Children's Hospital, the Friends of Children's, and we just got together at lunch one day, came with an idea, and she said, great. Sounds awesome. And it's a great, everybody identifies with that. It's a great cause.
More about the upcoming concert for a cause. It's on August the 20th there at Duling Hall. It will be Taylor Hicks and the Delta Funk Revival. All the proceeds will go to the Friends of Children's Mississippi. And the headliner is Taylor Hicks himself. Yes, that is the winner from American Idol's 5th season. But man, Taylor, you just dated me, and I even saw Rhino laugh just a little bit, because you said back in the day you had how many MySpace followers?
I think it was like 30 million MySpace followers.
So is this in 2006?
Yeah, this was before Facebook, before Twitter. Right. This was basically the only true social media platform that was around, was MySpace.
And so did you get you get the 30 million, obviously, maybe after the American Idol experience,
or
did you
just during that run? It was just so big, and we all just die laughing. That was the start of it.
Right.
That was basically, and then the way that the show integrated your phone into, the inner workings of voting and stuff. It truly, Idol at that time was truly an innovative show. Texting while voting. It taught my dad how to actually text.
Because he wanted to vote for the son.
Yeah, exactly. And he told me that he learned how to text through, and I think a lot of people did on that show. So yeah, MySpace was the big hit.
That's funny. And then it translated. Now MySpace is probably not where you connect with most of your fans.
MySpace is not.
No.
MySpace. MySpace was an interesting thing there just for a minute, but everything evolves every day. There's
Absolutely.
A new platform every day.
For sure. Well, you may have learned how to text message while watching American Idol, but you didn't learn to sing there. So take us back to Alabama. When did Taylor Hicks first start realizing that maybe he had a gift for singing, or who believed in you first?
Well, I started singing at an early age. I I started learning instruments around 14 or 15. Harmonica came first, then guitar, and then a little bit of piano, and then writing. So all of those kind of lined the stars for me to do music and entertain. And that's kind of how the arc of, the musical tree kind of started with singing, but then it branched out, luckily. So, and I think that's a God thing when you teach yourself instruments and then you write about what you feel on those instruments. That's kind of a calling and a vision.
But so many of us have those callings and those visions, Taylor, but we don't always see them through. So
Right.
what gave you the courage or the encouragement to keep walking it out in faith?
Well, I think you said it. Faith played a big role. I mean, you have to have your ducks in a row upstairs before they get lined up downstairs, in my opinion. And just believing in your talent. That's something that I always have thought that I would be good at. Would be entertaining people, and luckily the medium of music is is which I learned, and I can still say that I've done that. Not necessarily the medium music, but it's been other things. But like, again, you don't ever say no. If someone asks you can act, then you tell them, of course you
Sure.
can. Now that doesn't mean that they don't know that you've never had acting lessons before. But
You don't
just
lie. You just
you just say
yes.
you can do this.
Yes, you
So
believe in yourself.
That's kind of the way that I've gone about things.
I read where you were the first, maybe the first of American Idol, and maybe the first of any of the music shows to land a Las Vegas residency. And it feels like that's been the new hot thing for many artists. And when it started taking on, it just started taking on. Everybody wanted a residency. So what was that life like? Because I feel like that's American Idol in itself had to be grueling, just like The Voice or anything. I mean, you are sucked in a vacuum. You're in a silo for however long, that kind of sort of thing. Tunnel vision, I think, is what I'm thinking about. I would feel like a residency just feels like a show that never ends.
It was. It's a party that never ends, too. Vegas was a wonderful opportunity for me when I was presented it. And
How far after you won?
it's probably about 4 or 5 years. They asked me to come out and, perform. I was at Paris, and I was at Bally's for a while, and all under the Caesars umbrella, which was nice. Vegas was a trip. It was.
You have an Alabama boy, which is right here next to us here in Mississippi, who is then thrusted into the bright lights of of Vegas. How long did that last for you?
2 years. I lived in the hotel for 2 years. I would show up in my house robe at 3:30 in the morning, wanting cookies and milk from the fridge. My fridge just happened to be the all-night 24-hour cafe, but at that point in time, the people that are in there, if they see a guy in the robe, they just think it's just normal,
And you got to eat at the buffet, I'm sure, every day, or
It was an interesting gig. I mean, that's just an interesting, such a really cool thing, though. I got to work on the show standing still. We weren't moving around. The show was actually there, so I had a lot of time to fine-tune it. It just was, it was one of those things that I'll always remember.
because it's a different show every night because it's a different audience coming through. I mean, they're rotating, right?
Yep.
And but it's the same look, feel, whatever it may be. If you had to choose, which you don't, but here on Good Things we always ask stupid questions. So, do you like the you standing in place and the people rotating, or you rotating to the people?
Well, I think it's, it just depends. I mean, I loved going and setting up the show and then watching the groups of people come in and out, and what's great about it, though, is that, you hit all kinds of groups because one night there would be, 100 people from Japan, there was some international, because Idol's a little bit international. You kind of see a lot of the spectrum of people that come through Vegas. It was a great gig.
So other things that are international that you've been a part of is Law and Order SVU, which my husband feels like that's where you hit your star. You guys, that's his show. So he's like, oh, he was
Mine
on.
too. I love it.
not that he's not against your music. It was like, oh, he was on Law and Order.
Funny.
He's legit now. And so how do opportunities like that arise? And was it once or was it, because I didn't see the episode, but is it an episode or is it maybe a series of episodes?
It was an episode, but interestingly enough, it was one of the more popular episodes of SVU. Just as far as storyline, relevancy today, we.
How far along was when was this?
Probably about 5 years ago, maybe.
Okay. I can't watch the show or I'll have nightmares. So
yeah, it's
not for that's not for everybody. But there are some of you who will watch it on repeat and watch marathons of it, and I get it. So I don't, but I do. So I'll honor that. So yeah. So
we it was interesting. I think one of the guys. He got Clay Aiken and Ashanti and I on there, and they wanted some sort of idol talent judge, situation. But what's funny is that they actually hired me to have the part of the Simon Cowell. So they actually wanted me to
Did you wear a white T-shirt?
No white, no man boobs, no white. That was not in the cards. But yes, it was. It was such a great experience because it was true, drama, and to a certain degree, that was kind of my first dramatic role. There were some serious undertones there in that episode. So that kind of got me interested in actually more serious stuff.
I know in part of your career, ever since the winning American Idol in 2006, so that's about 15 years, you've stayed in the entertainment business, Taylor. You have sort of morphed in and out. You've paused on music some, and then you've obviously come back to it. It's your first love. Is that scary to lay down, the main thing and go for something new, or did you need it at a certain time?
Yeah, it's what's interesting about the arc of the career is that, when you go and do a host of you get an opportunity to host a TV show for a couple years, and then, you do a little bit of acting, and then you do the Vegas show. The thing about it is that you lose a little bit of the touring fan base that you had over the years. In my first tour, I went out on the road extensively, and I love that part of it. But, being able to be a little bit more versatile in this business. You don't want to get too versatile or you'll spread yourself too thin. And that's true in this business because there's a fan base that you always have to nurture. And for me, that musical fan base is the one that's important. So
I'm more with Taylor Hicks, who is headlining the Delta Funk Revival Band. They are playing in Duling Hall August the 20th. It is benefiting the Friends of Children's Hospital. But he's also into food, which you can't come to Mississippi. You can't even be from the South, which you are from Alabama, and not be into food. So one of the other things on your plate, pun intended, Taylor, is State Plate, which is an original series on INSP. So what channel is that?
Inspiration. It's right, the one on DirecTV. It's below the Weather Channel. So if you type in something by default, looking for the Weather Channel, you'll hit Inspiration Channel. But it's actually moved to Amazon Prime too.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So you can get it on Amazon Prime as well.
So you said one of the secrets to your 15-year career is to never say no to somebody who asks you, can you do X, Y, and Z? So when I guess a producer or somebody who had the idea of you tasting your way through all the states, did you even get, let me think about that?
No, that was a real easy one. That was just one of those things where, you just say yes and go for it. Hosting TV was interesting because, we were dealing with, and you should know, dealing with different, guests and stuff that come on the show. You never know what you're going to get. And so that was just kind of the thrilling part to me was to be able to see a lot of people around the country in different states that had different plates. North Dakota is not something that you think of as far as being from the South on what would be on a North Dakotian state plate. So I thought just the idea of being able to go and learn was something that I jumped at the chance to do.
Well, and I know you've come through Mississippi with your episode, and I think one of the cool things, though, when you talk about state play, and it's one of the things that connects us all, is we take so much pride in our foods that are traditional, and it's different in every state that you go to. The Blue Plate Special wouldn't look the same in every. Now, it may here in the South, but it's not going to look the same everywhere. But everyone's ready to sort of serve you up, what they enjoy most and watch you sort of enjoy it. So I think you got like the best deal in terms of showcasing what, unites us all, which is food and good music. So you kind of got the best of both worlds with that. We
tried really hard to put a plate of food together that was just iconic to that state. There was some musical elements, obviously, with when we went through Mississippi and places like that, Memphis, that had these iconic musical undertones, so to speak. That was something that I loved, is to really see what people eat around the country and what is, what really makes why people in Nebraska, eat certain things.
Agreed. Or their tea sweet or unsweet.
Yeah.
We can get on big fights on food is one thing that we love to agree to disagree on here on good things, but everybody still loves a good meal, and I think there's just something hospitable that comes with someone cooking you up their traditional favorites and then giving it to you and wanting to share that with the world. Now, do you cook also, Taylor, or do you just get to go around and taste?
I love cooking. I love cooking when I have the time. I enjoy getting in the kitchen and hanging out for a long period of time and cooking for family and friends. That's something that I enjoy. But as far as just kind of the everyday, trying to put a meal together kind of thing, that's not me. I mean, but I'm also single, so I don't have the family. And that's look. If I had somebody, if there was a couple of more people in the household, I probably would do more of that. But on the fly, traveling career, right now, I just kind of wait for those moments where if I'm around family and I've got the time, I'll do it.
So let's talk about when you have the time, when Taylor Hicks has downtime. What do you do when you get those moments to breathe? Do you get moments to breathe?
I do, yeah. I had about a year to breathe last year, unfortunately, for musicians and artists. Hopefully that's going to change. Fingers crossed, but. I'll take a day and cook for everybody at night. I'll throw steaks on the grill and do some sort of big casserole or, spaghetti, or just tackle something off of the internet that's fun to cook. Scuba diving, I like to dive.
But it's quiet down there, huh?
It is. I need it. It's very interesting. I love learning about that.
How did Taylor Hicks get involved in scuba diving?
I did it right when I was in college. I tried it, with my dad, and I just something that I didn't realize how bad I was going to need like the silence at some point in my life, and I try to dive once a year. It's kind of like it's very therapeutic, very meditative. If you can get past being under the water, which is kind of tough for people, but if you learn the right way, I always like to say, just food for thought, if you ever think about scuba diving, learn in a pool that you're familiar with. That's, when you think of the big ocean, it's really just getting comfortable about swimming around, because once you do learn scuba and you start swimming around, you'll forget where you are and you'll start to relax and enjoy it.
Christopher McComb is enjoying our conversation with Taylor Hicks. He also said his brother-in-law, Sam Gunnarsson, used to play guitar with you.
I love Sam.
It's a small world.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I did ask you. I was like, should we open the phone lines?
Yeah. No, it's not a phone line. It's a text
line. Well, to open the lines. Yeah, Sam was a great guitar player, still is. I'll throw some texts to Sam every now and then, so I'm glad that you texted in. Yeah, he's a great artist, and I believe his family's out of Virginia, Ruston, Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, I was just near Ruston, Virginia, a couple weeks ago, and I thought about Sam. So yeah, that's a nice text.
You mentioned artists and last year being sort of hard for everyone in the entertainment, but particularly those indie artists that make a living going to festivals or doing their, mic nights or whatever it may be. Here on Good Things, we really try to encourage people to support local businesses, and sometimes we forget concerts are like a local business or supporting a local artist. I mean, not everybody comes through that are big, headliners, even at your level, Taylor. So that really mean to the people on the stage and behind the scenes?
Well, it means a lot because this is where you live. I mean, this is your hometown. I mean, everyone at some point in their career was the hometown artist that played down the street. That was always in the bars and always in the restaurants playing. And when you can be able to tag a really good charitable cause with it, these kinds of nights, it means the world to people, not only for the children there at the hospital here in Jackson, but any time that we do forget sometimes that local artists make up the fabric of the community, just like anything else. The accountants, it all is about one community, and a really special community here, like the people in Mississippi and Alabama and the South. I mean, it's very family oriented, so you got to take care of your family. You got to take care of your family,
and one way you can do that is coming out to see Taylor Hicks in the Delta Funk Revival, which has Patrick Smith. He is a hometown boy from Vicksburg, Mississippi, a part of that. They're going to be playing at Duling Hall. I forgot to ask you, Richard, where do we go to get tickets?
Ardenland.net. Yeah,
Ardenland.net, because you probably don't want to show up the night of, because it sounds like they're going
after today, and there's a lot of press out there, and Duling's great, but it's not. Reason. It's a cap on VIP and cap on the audience, so we hope to fill it up. Taylor, if you were never going to, if American Idol had never happened, where were you headed? What were you wanted to be when you grew up?
I don't have any idea.
That's what all the successful musicians say. Like, there was no plan B.
My side hustle has been barbecue. Obviously just because I'm a Southern boy, but probably somewhere in the restaurants. Another singing restaurateur, something like that.
Something like that. That's okay. There's always room for more good barbecue. Mike from Grand Bay, though, says he wants to know, would you want to be a judge on a competition show? And before you, and again, that is all proceeds are going to Friends of Children's Hospital. And make sure we get that in there too. But there are a few texts that are coming through for you, Taylor, on our C Spire text line that I thought were fun. Mike from Grand Bay asked if you would want to be a judge on a competition show. That's a lot of my mind says no for me, but I like everybody. A's for everybody, so I shouldn't be a teacher either. So. What are your thoughts?
I would probably do Idol just because I won the show.
You understand it?
I do feel like, something else besides that I probably would say no to. But Idol, yeah. I think if there ever was going to be a contestant that judged American Idol, truly sat in the judge's chair, I think it would have to be a winner. Because you don't really understand just the whole ramification of what you have to do if you won the show as if you didn't. Now, you can get out of the contracts and stuff. You can wiggle out. That's just from a strictly music business perspective. But as far as just the whole kit and caboodle, I think a winner needs to be in that judge's chair.
I heard Jamie Foxx one time talk, Taylor, about the mist. I actually think he was talking to Oprah Winfrey, saying once he got famous, there was like this magical mist where it was like people just automatically looked at him different, thought about him different. Did you sort of like experience that the day, or it was probably a gradual transition through the Idol experience, because even those that don't win still walk away with some celebrity. But was life after celebrity just strange? There at the beginning, for sure.
That was, I said this in an earlier interview. I went from playing to 50 people in a little club in Pelham, Alabama, to doing a Southeast Asian tour in 6 months. That's after I won Idol, I was followed by a helicopter for, probably a couple weeks. It was just extreme.
No walking around your apartment naked. I mean,
yeah, and that was, you were always trying to worry about, the curtains. I mean, it was a very grueling mentality, especially if somebody's like OCD or a little bit, it has a little bit of paranoia in them, just everyday things, and that's heightened 100 times. So yes, there is that, but I think people over time, depending on where they're at in their careers, learn how to deal with it.
How old were you when you won Idol?
28. I was the oldest.
So you were a little bit older than some of these teens.
Absolutely.
Or early 20s.
Yeah,
and
I couldn't imagine.
I was just thinking I couldn't imagine either. And there's a lot of parents and grandparents listening to Good Things, and we all talk about this generation, whatever you want to say, has that sort of mindset of instant fame, instant gratification when it comes to social media and all the things. I mean, what would be your wise words to maybe those that are looking to get in the business or to do some of these shows? I mean, would you think twice? Would you go to counseling first?
I would.
Because you can't say no. I mean, it is what kind of gave you the platform.
Absolutely.
To torpedo you to where you're at today.
Right. I would definitely just make sure that you rely on the artistic merit of what you were doing. Some of the Instagram stuff. I mean, it's a little bit like smoke and mirrors, too much smoke and mirrors. I would just, I would say rely on the artistic credibility and where, on your good morals, and let that be the common ground of what you just do after that.
Absolutely, and use your talents for good, which is why you are in Mississippi, because you're doing good for the Friends of Children's Hospital, again, in the Delta Funk Revival. Great name, Richard.
We took a while. We went to a whole
good name, Rich.
Sit there and came up, we thought of things, and it just hit.
It just sort of hit, and so even if you can't make it to the concert, you can still get a T-shirt if that.
Get the T-shirt.
Get the T-shirt. That's what enjoys. So mentioning food though. Where are you going to eat between now and August the 20th, or when you come? Any places you're stopping?
We just had Nukes.
Yeah. Well, that is a Mississippi-based company.
I mean, that we rolled in and hit some Nukes. I don't know. I'm going to have to lean on Richard for that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely down with whatever.
Well, there are plenty of good barbecue. You mentioned barbecue, and I would say you need to go up the road just a little bit to Yazoo City and see our friends at Ubon's. That would be
Ubon's.
Yeah, it would be
done.
When you said barbecue, that was one of the. But you also have Pig and Pints, and you have many others right here in the central.
And I've cooked with all of them. I cooked on an NBN team for 6 years, and I've cooked with all those guys.
Yeah. You can't go. You can't.
Well,
go, you can't go wrong no matter where you go.
He's got the lead on that.
You can't go wrong.
I was the whole hog cook.
Well, I appreciate your time, Taylor.
Thank you
Again,
so much.
ardenland.net. Go and support, or at least go learn a little bit more. But you got more coming up next. You got Sports Talk Mississippi from 3 to 6 with the boys. But Rhino and I will be back with you tomorrow at 2. Until then, I hope you all find time.